DreamHack Open is brought to you by Corsair, Monster Energy, Esport Management, and GGBet.
Two teams have already picked up victories here at DreamHack Open Summer, but it wasn't easy for either one. Both games going into the later portion of the rounds. Overtime, a serious looming threat, and it's possible that in the next series we could see that as well. Welcome back to DreamHack Open Summer 2019 here from Jönköping, Sweden. I am your host, Bach. Joining me on the desk is Potter and Mr. Tom Biz. Risky business, not here. We don't have
just
meals.
The business.
Just the business. Just the business side. It's not risky. It's just the business. Just standard business as usual. That's what the shorts tell me when I look at you. Is business as usual.
There are no shorts. That sounds worse, actually.
Yeah, he's not wearing pants.
Under.
Yeah.
We can go ahead and pull up the group brackets, or the brackets, so you guys can just get an appreciation for how we got to where we are currently and what's happened throughout the day thus far. So Avantgarde already moved on into that upper final, waiting for the winner of this game to see who they're going to be playing, and then obviously Winstrike waiting for the loser of this. They're already backstage. They've been watching demos, watching back the VOD to figure out what did we do wrong. So I like the approach from Winstrike, that discipline and structure coming in from the CIS side after that early loss. But coming up, we have that tricked Aristocracy game, and maybe people don't know who Aristocracy is.
I mean, Aristocracy is like the Taz project, right? I mean,
yeah.
one could argue that they are the Polish's #1 team at the moment.
Well,
I mean,
so the thing is, you could argue that any team in Poland right now is like towards the top, because there's like a constant juggling. Like back in the day, VP was clearly #1, and Kingwin was like #2. Then AGO came up. They kind of reclaimed that #2 spot, and sort of for a while were better than VP.
They were #1.
And then everything got shuffled around, much like the French scene. Players went in different directions, and I feel like in general the scene is weaker because of it. Like they haven't really found their footing yet. But Taz's team has been like the only one that's had at least some semblance of success, whereas other teams it's just been like, what happened?
yeah, I think Taz's project in this Aristocracy.
You nailed it the first time.
You doubted yourself.
Aristocracy. I mean, they've been quietly kind of creeping into the success story, right? And I think specifically online, they've been seeing some success. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they perform here and seeing if they're able to actually replicate some of their success that they've seen online, because that's all we've pretty much seen from them.
Tom, I see you flipping through your notes there. What map should we expect to see from these teams?
Why did you go straight for map?
Well, I mean, you're flipping through. I figured.
I think that we could actually end up on something like Nuke, because I think both of the teams actually do seem to enjoy playing Nuke. The only bans we're really getting out is something like Inferno from Aristocracy. They don't really play it, and both teams have kind of a pretty poor record on Vertigo. So unless we ended up as a similar sort of scenario with Winstrike that we saw earlier, where both teams just go screw it, but. No, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised who bans Nuke. I think that's the question I'll have. It's actually going to be Aristocracy.
Despite the high win rate, they actually go away from it, which is a little bit surprising. So we're going to end up on Train, which is a decent map for both teams. It's not an amazing map for Trick, but it's a good map for Aristocracy. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the mentality is that since both teams are so competent on that Nuke, and their win rate is so high and even, that they don't want to take the fight to a map that could be so 50-50, right? So, I mean, this is definitely probably a pocket pick from Aristocracy. Their win record on it isn't the highest that I've seen, but this shows that they're coming in with some sort of a plan.
Well, they beat Tricked on it like a week ago or so. So it's one of those. It's one of those weird ones where we had Tricked win a best-of-3 to knock them out of the minor, and then it went back and we had another game in the New York qualifiers where it was actually Aristocracy now winning on this map. But we've got the sort of age-old thing of, okay, they won it last time, but that probably means that Tricked aren't going to let it through unless they have gone through the demo and they have watched what they did wrong. And it was 16-13 anyway, so it's not like it was dominant by any stretch. A few changes, maybe a pistol round win, and it could easily go back the other way.
One of the hard things for a team like Tricked is that they're in a Danish scene right now where they're pretty low in the pecking order, which means that if they ever do well, someone's just going to get taken from them.
Yeah.
It's a constant uphill battle. It's like, once you reach basically the #2 team, you realize that's probably as far as I'm going to go unless Astralis really starts to fall off. It's very similar, actually, to the Polish scene, the way the Polish scene was. Like, you can climb all the way to #2, and then you just get to watch #1 do whatever they want, and then maybe one day you'll get an opportunity, but they won't be the team they were when you wanted it originally. Whereas Aristocracy on the other side is maybe towards the top of the pecking order in the Polish scene, where they're the ones who are pulling talent away. So if Tricked is able to find success here, the concern for the team is how long will that success last before someone just gets ripped off the roster and they have to replace them again.
Yeah, there are a lot of not only like big teams in Denmark, but also massive organizations. And it is a shame, because I think if you manage to sort of collect all of the talent that Tricked had over the last years, they would have a really good roster. But to be fair...
But they'd also have like 37 players.
Yeah, that is true. To be fair, at the moment, they've actually done a relatively good job of picking pieces out from other rosters. Like, you've got Bubsky, who used to play in Fraxters, and that team was, well, fantastic for what they managed to achieve with the players that they had. Obviously, we've seen players from there go to Heroic and like different rosters all around. You have a couple of players from North Academy. Now, obviously, North, one of the biggest organizations in Denmark, so playing in their academy team, they were clearly up-and-coming talent. So I think that from what they've managed to collect with obviously limited amounts of money in comparison to some of the bigger organizations within the country, they've actually done very well. And I think that they could be maybe one of the surprise rosters here at DreamHack, because they're one that they've beaten a lot of like decent opposition in like some of their online performances. So like I wouldn't like count them out. Like, they've beaten Windigo, they've beaten AGO, they've beaten Sprout, they've even beaten Aristocracy before. So to say that they're going to come in as like one of the bottom teams, I think would be unfair to them.
For sure, and Hunden has been an in-game leader within the scene for such a long time, and a top in-game leader at that. I mean, he had such a long project over at Alternate Attacks for nearly 2 years, found some success over there, and now he's coming over to this trick side of things. And he actually just had a recent interview on HLTV, and he was mentioning how the confidence factor coming into this event for him and his teammates are quite high, and so the expectations and the bar is set pretty high for him and his teammates. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how much success he's going to actually be able to achieve here on that trick side of things.
I will say this, what I'm looking for on the opposite side is the player in the second seat, Diha. Diha was a player that a lot of people thought was a cheater. Like, really thought he was cheating.
All the best always are, though.
Well, and that's the thing, right? That's
Esperanto
the key.
was known within like the Lithuanian scene as possibly being a
cheater. Yeah, and I think the same could have been said about Rops. The same has been said about like numerous players that come up in the scene in a maybe less than traditional way, playing like through a pug system versus playing through a team, is that they're immediately not trusted and they're thought to be a cheater.
Stewie is a prime example.
So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do on LAN, because I've watched him play quite a bit online, and he's an impressive player when he's hitting his stride.
Yeah, I saw him at Pro League, and when they were playing, he looked very, very good. Like an aggressive player and a player who can definitely like take down pretty much anyone in the server. I think if he has his best game, I don't actually think there's much that Trick can do about it, because he is genuinely that good.
I gotta agree with you. I mean, they just played, I believe, a match on LAN versus Virtus Pro in a series, and it was all about Daika. I mean, he was all over the place, and he's got that snappy aim. It's that young, snappy, just
you can tell you love
everywhere.
It. Yeah. They can't see your face, but
the smile. You're like, you just
love it. Yeah, because as soon as you're watching these players, you're just like, yep, that's that 16-year-old aim right there.
Well, also the rest of the roster itself is like different pieces again that have been sort of brought together by Taz, and I think that these are all players that I felt for many years have deserved better opportunities. Like, for example, Maniz. I think he's a fantastic AWPer. Again, like, sometimes a little bit inconsistent. Like, Taz has actually spoken in the past about this team and confidence, because they've not been in like a Virtus Pro where it's like, oh, there's 4 experienced players and you've joined as sort of one. They've always been like an underdog team, or a team that is coming together as like a mix of different players where no one has really been massively successful, like winning tournaments and running away with things. But now now they have Taz, who he's going to be that calm in the storm. He's going to be that man who can sort of sit down and go, look, guys, I've been here. I've been way further than here. We can definitely do this. And, like, let's be real. It's, again, that situation I was saying about, like, Brolin and JW. Taz is not going to pick up a player who he doesn't think he can succeed with.
Absolutely. And Taz is one of those in-game leaders that actually performs quite well in the server.
Yep.
He's not just one of those in-game leaders that's purely there for the strategic, cerebral side of things. He puts up the numbers, and he's absolutely one of those players that Aristocracy needs to step up if they want to be competitive.
Taz is also a very vocal player, so I'm kind
and emotional.
Yeah, like I'm kind of curious to see if he's going to get loud on the stage, because I have a feeling he will. I've watched them play quite a bit. I remember watching them play back when they were Kingwin, making their way into the Pro League, and I watched the energy they bring. I mean, there are certain words they say a lot of that might be considered cursing on air, so I shouldn't repeat them. It's not an English curse word, but it does apply. But, you know, expect to hear that a lot if things are going well or if things are going poorly. It's a very multi-use word. But I love the energy that they bring. It's like, it's not quite where we used to be in Counter-Strike with like the trash talk, but it's loud, and I like that energy because I kind of get tired of seeing teams who are just reserved and quiet. I like seeing some like
You don't like
emotion.
somebody winning and just standing up and going, yep, and then just walking off. You want them to scream and like, if they get angry,
celebrate.
break a desk or something like that. Maybe not like punch through it or anything. We've seen that in the past. But
or break a keyboard, you know, slamming on. You know what? Some of the best players in the world have done that. So
it's the passion.
It's the passion of the Counter-Strike.
Of the Counter-Strike.
Well, looking at this series, we've talked about it enough. Tom, what's your prediction?
See, this one was actually probably the toughest, but I am still going to go with Aristocracy. I think although they won this last time, that's not really the reason I'm going off. I think it's the LAN situation. I think that's where, like you said, they'll have the sort of passion and they will lead this through.
I'm going to have to go with Aristocracy as well. I mean, I'm excited to see Taz and his teammates. I mean, this four of Mouse, Rollin, Taz, and Maniz, they've been together for quite some time, with only Daika coming in as of recently. So I'm excited to see what Aristocracy can pull out here.
I'm going underdogs. I'm going to go for Tricked.
The first change.
I'm going to go for Tricked because I think that if they were going to pull off a big win, now would be the time to do it right off the bat. Get things started strong. Kind of like the last game we saw. Maybe it's not expected, but it's the first map of the day, and for a lot of teams, that's the weakest one. Yep. So I got to give them a little bit of credit. I think Trick's going to take it.
Oh, silence.
Silence
from this.
I was expecting a retort, but I guess I'm right.
To be fair, I think that this is or should be the closest game. Like they played against each other quite a lot. With most of the other teams, it's sort of like going into an unknown. I think that's the only real forgiveness you can give maybe to Crazy is like they haven't played that much against Ancient, so it's going to be interesting either way.
Let's take a look at what you guys think at home. I mean, maybe I'm not as crazy.
Of course, this is the landslide one. All the others are close.
Well, you know, the casters are ready, and I think we've said enough because I need to go, you know, walk away and just forget that I said what I said.
If you're right now.
Like, I gotta just give it to you guys. If they're ready, let's take it away. I need to wash this off.
All right. Yeah. Beaten up by Twitch chat, you know, that'll happen.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it. I don't know. I mean, I can see this working out for Tricked actually. I don't think it's out of them. I don't think that's a crazy thing to be saying.
I think as well. The thing is, this is for Aristocracy. This is still a roster. It's very much in its early days, and there's a lot of potential issues that could pop up in the course, especially of a best of one on a map like Train, and that's an area where I think the Tricked as well could start to cut ahead and maybe even outright take the victory here too. It's just like the analyst said. This is still a very, very close matchup ultimately, and should go the distance, just like our other two maps have gone.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're also playing against the you know, the legend of Hunden, so you want to you really want to take that into consideration. That could be rough. Good to see Taz with the headset on though. What a legend. I mean, I think Mark on the desk is sort of, you know, pointing out a little bit how Taz could get pretty loud. Nowhere near as loud as he did back in the day, which I really missed. I really wish we could have that back. That was just so much fun. So, you know, a little bit more of that. But they do have some amazing players there on the Aristocracy lineup. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to head into Train, ladies and gentlemen, here. The third match of the first day here at DreamHack Open in Jönköping. And it's going to be on Train between Tricked and Aristocracy.
Got a few more opening matches still to come following this one as well, guys. 3 more games to go, but let's get into it. As we've got Aristocracy on the CT side. Tricked will be on the T side. I hear a lot of ticking in the background. So I don't know if something's happening with this or...
It does sort of feel that way, because I think they were running and they sort of stopped, so...
It looks like it's going to get canceled out.
I did hear a crazy war cry going on, so I don't know if that was somebody from on the stage. Teams should have war cries. What a good idea, you know? I mean, we do sometimes see the huddles where people do like a, you know, all hands on top of each other and do like a 1, 2, 3 something. But, you know, I would like a really...
I think the closest you get is what you were saying with like Brazilian teams.
Yeah.
Where they say, I don't know what they say. I've never like actually gone through the due diligence to look this up, but a lot of the teams, even in multiple games that I've done, actually say the same thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is that they say.
We had it translated once and I forgot.
Yeah.
So some of the Danish team used to do it, and obviously I can't remember their saying either, but I would know that. But yeah, it seems like a good little ritual, you know?
Yeah, because originally I thought it was just like a 1 or 2 team, like MIBR specifically, or like another Brazilian team just did it. But then I saw a Brazilian team do it in Rainbow Six as well, and I was like, oh wait, this is something like all the Brazilian teams do. So I caught on that pretty recently. That's a nice little war cry that at least the teams from that region does. But yeah, I haven't seen any other teams like try to pick that up or do anything before the start of the match to get them amped up, a little bit more composed, a bit more focused on the game, I guess you could say. We're going to be jumping into it, guys, in just a second. I think it's probably just a quick technical issue that we have to fix. And we'll be jumping into this match to start the actual first round here in a second.
Yeah, you know, get it out of the way quickly, I guess. That's the way we want it, you know, before anything really kicks off. So I was interested because it looked like they were sort of pushing pretty heavily towards B, and Taz did have an HE grenade, so that could have been some really good or bad timing, depending on where you're looking at it from. So yeah, there we go. Back at it again. I doubt they're going to rush B again. I feel like once you do that, you don't know if you've been heard. So if you do it again, like, probably not worth it.
So it looks like they do shy away from that. Still a decent amount of pressure coming onto the inner site, however. Only 2 players initially taking control of outside, which actually might come back to bite Aristocracy a little bit here. They're going to need to quickly rotate outside. Oh, maybe not, actually. It's a split play a little bit here. They're trying to go for back lanes. Rowland, a quick snipe on the pistols, able to take out Borup, and gives Aristocracy the man advantage. If a small one. Manise as well back in spawn tries to hold against this, but no. Hunted and Bubsky pick up those opening 2 kills for their team. Mal's able to trade from lower here. And same problem. They're immediately going to get traded out, and Trick still takes the ultimate victory out of the majority of these fights. Rowland now in the 1v3 clutch starts things off well with a pick against the core.
Yeah, he did a good job on that one, but now he's in trouble. He doesn't have a kit currently picked up, no grenades to try and, you know, force any kind of a fight, so it's going to be really hard to try and find Shush, I guess, and Bubsky. Rowland, oh yeah, that's the noise. He's actually going to hit the headshot there on Bubsky. That's kind of impressive, but again, what is he going to do now? Bit of a grenade setup. That, I think, was his one chance. Like, he needed to hit that headshot in 1 second, and now the time has simply gone away from him, so it's really, really a good job that he hit some of these kills, but it won't be enough in the end. And it's going to be Tricked to pick it up.
Tricked. Better execute, ultimately, at the end of the day, is what is going to allow them to take control of that round. On Pistol, no way that you could see any additional utility investment that Rowland could have used at the end there in order to clutch it out.
Should we just all agree now to call him Shush? Like, Shush? Does that
Shush? Yeah, that's what I was going to go for, too.
Okay, good. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Again, you know, if you're thinking about picking up this game and playing it, let's say you're like 12 years old and you think, maybe I should play Counter-Strike. Just pick a name that people can pronounce in English.
It's spelled correctly as well.
Yeah, just anything. Just, you know, think about the future. Decent grenade. Aristocracy definitely with the weaponry in this round, but not enough to fight that one. Shush picking up a couple of good kills.
Yeah, is going to be there for the response, however, as he takes out Shush, trying to push down lower relatively quickly. So Tricked are going to have their quick expectations tempered, as now they're going to head down ladder instead. Trying to get their way out through drop and onto the outside site. Taz will be the one to try and resist this from top of Green Train. As well has a position. Oh, a nice snipe from Taz. Finds Borup, trying to work his way up on top of Blue. Ika able to move in, finds himself another pickup as well, and that's going to send Tricked right back up the ladder and over towards the inner site instead.
Man, those were some great deagle shots. You really like to see it. Rowland, oh, and he's going to get Bubsky too. He was great with the USP in the pistol round. Now, picking up a scout kill, leaving Hunden alone here against 3 people. He's got the Galil. He's got a little bit of health here to work with too. That's a nice headshot taking down Dika, and she's not really done yet. Taz and Rallen getting a bit closer. They do not have a kit picked up, and that could be a big problem. Spending a lot of time getting close to it. Taz going to crouch in for the kill and going to go straight for the bomb. Looked like he was trying to go somewhere else. I'm not sure what that was about, but they're going to have the round. That's a huge problem for Tricked.
Immediate response coming in from Aristocracy. Ties us up at 1-1. Most importantly, is really going to screw the economy over for Tricked going into future rounds here. We'll see how they respond to that coming up. Overall, great plays, and it started mainly because of the outside hold. Those Deagle pickups that they were able to find, along with, of course, Taz. The last kill that you saw right there. Loss for Aristocracy to slowly limit the numbers on Tricked and eventually kind of squeeze them out of the round at the end there.
Kind of surprising given how that all started up over at the B-bomb side. You know, felt like that 2-for-1 trade, that would have been fine, you know. Tricked getting whittled down from some long-range fights, which can definitely happen on train. Hunden, good enough attempt with the Deagle, but didn't really find anything. I did really like the round that, the pistol round that Trick pulled out. I love the idea. They actually threw the Molotov to the Ivy train from main, and then they smoked the other side. They flashed their way through the smoke to wrap around towards CT spawn with like 2 or 3 people running Ivy. That's a really cool idea. But here in the third round, you have to expect that Aristocracy are probably going to come out on top.
It's a good start again from Aristocracy, especially when you see goodbye overall. Should be a relatively easy shutout from them, although Maycorp able to find one response. It's going to be the only one, though. It's a very, very quick affair besides that. 0 damage taken by anyone else except for Rallen. And there's that 2-1 lead now for Aristocracy being established.
Yeah, finding a bit of comfort early on. It probably won't last long because you expect that the Danish team is going to be back at buying fairly quickly.
There they are, right back in with the full buy, or at least as full as they can afford at this point. Decent amount of utility still to be spread around, along with pretty much everybody getting, at the minimum, a Galil. The majority still on AKs.
Oh, they kind of want to push behind it. That's an interesting idea, though Taz is going to be winning the fight. I can see how you could do that, though. Like, put out that Molotov and then just, you know, maybe some CCs are thinking, no, it's got to be up for like another 3 seconds, so we don't have to watch as carefully. But that wasn't the case. Hunden taking a fair bit of damage. And that was from that push over at Ivy. Dika?
I think it's Dika.
Dika.
Yeah.
Does sound more Polish that way. Maybe people can help us out.
So I think that's how Bach was saying it anyway. Bach is going to be very on point with the pronunciation. We're going to see another trade. Go really against the favor again of Aristocracy here. Or excuse me, against the favor of Tricked. As we'll see Aristocracy be found out, get pushed back as a result of being seen here, and get recentered just outside of their spawn.
40 seconds on the clock and trying to make their way in. It's not going to be easy at all. That's really not that much time to work with. They do have a Molotov. That might help them if they get the bomb down. Long range opening from Bubsky. He's going to go down to Taz. And yeah, this position up here is just so hard to deal with. And Taz is going to be cleaning up that round. Triple for him. And overall off to a good start himself at 6-1. So he's going to be excited about that whole situation. This is looking very good right now for the Polish side.
I'll have to see once we get a little bit of a healthier economy built up for the Danish roster to see how well they're able to carry over their performance into the next few rounds. Of course, already getting past that most recent round good. Mind you, utility was still slightly limited for a few of the members on Tricked, along with a couple downgrades. Not as many Kriegs, or at least fully bought AKs you would like to see. Perfect timing on the HE grenade. Just absolutely destroys the push. Mal is able to pick up one. Manise, of course, sniping from the back, finds one on his own. Good response from Bubsky on the Deagle. It's just not going to matter in the grand scheme of things.
Couldn't really get much more action-packed than that last kill. That was Hunden jumping like from a fiery ledge and like got caught mid-air with an AK-47. So it's not bad, or an AUG, I guess. Still, they're not going to make it through. Good cleanup, very clean round. I mean, the grenade timing was just absolutely amazing. They're off to such a good start here. Really turned it around from losing that pistol. So See how that's going to work out. The Danes need to find a way back into the game here.
Yeah, Aristocracy not even really like tripping up too much in these anti-eco rounds. Still, nice, clean, making sure that everybody stays alive. Good money build-up for the long term coming in from Aristocracy. We've already got some guys approaching like 6K in Manisa's case. Meanwhile, of course, Tricked still working with the bare minimum. Now, to be fair, they do have the full buy coming back in. 2 Kriegs as well on top of that to work off of. And the op back on A-Core. But now it's time to see if they can put the money where their mouth is and actually close out on another round here to keep not only the scoreline a little bit closer, but hopefully the way that the economy will swing as we get closer towards the mid-half.
Dika playing that aggressive position in Pop Dog that we see so much. People even like sort of playing directly under the ladder, which I still think is a little bit risky, but we have seen, examples of people making just amazing use of it. So seems like that's sort of the flavor of the month for defending this part of the map.
No one going to be testing it right now, though. So the 2-man team on the inside, a ladder drop is going to be safe. Something like Tricked are again going to favor an inner taken to a pretty heavy extent, too. Most players stacked up. Approaching kind of critical execute timing here soon. They're going to drop in. Manise actually with a miss. He's not going to find the connection, so they will be able to start working their way out through lower. Mal's a nice adjustment to find 2, but he gets tripped up by Bubsky working his way up the sidewalk. Thankfully, Manise is there to trade it just a second later. So Tricked, although they were slowly working their way into the site, lost the bomb in a very unfortunate position. And A-Core now has to get incredibly aggressive to get it back.
Yeah, and not only that, I think they even heard, I think Taz there in main heard the last player in Borb running back, so nice shot from A-Core, though. That's really going to make a difference. Manise over here, he sees the legs, and he's going to leg him with no bomb plant and 9 seconds. He can't even fake it. If he wants this, he's going to have to go and straight plant it, and he's going to run out of time. So he had really only one chance to do that. Now he's going to run back into the waiting arms of Taz, who knew who he was the whole time. Like, you heard that running back. Well, from Tricked's point of view, when they jump down that ramp over at the sidewalk, they actually have almost no grenades. So the reason that Mouse here isn't flashed at all or smoked out or anything, they just don't have those grenades. And that's a big problem for that push. Otherwise, maybe could have worked out.
Especially when you see how players like A-Core were trying to turn it around towards the end. But sadly, without any positioning being established, it's just not going to be plausible to expect that to happen. Another early round nade completely decimates the health pools of the Tricked roster before they can even try to throw back some of this fight. Dika as well. Great stuff from him as he finds a quick little 4K against another eco round from Tricked.
Yeah, really enjoying the beginning of this match here, Aristocracy. 6-1. Borb at 007, so it's got, it's got that working for him.
It's got a secret agent status established at least.
Yeah, now he's the license to kill, so now we can really he's waiting on that, now we can get into it.
Next round is going to be 5 and 7, just you wait. We'll see if it builds up towards that. Aristocracy are going to have just a tiny bit of pressure being thrown their way, so some response nades come in, but it's nothing that's actually going to end up being tossed out onto the site. As again, Tricked have this massive stack leaning in towards the back of the B site right now. That will be the priority for them moving forward. Flash to get them across. Mouse throws the molly on the ground. It's going to get extinguished relatively quickly, though. And again, Mouse is taken down this time without much of an impact, and you don't really have any other CT presence in the backside to stop this, so Trick will get a very clean bomb plant off.
Yeah, absolutely. Dika going to be picking up that 1 kill, but Manise goes down. 4 on 3. Oh man, they're going to need to get some pretty quick kills to try and even do this retake. Oh, the timing as well. Pulls out the grenade just as he gets peeked, and now A-Core, he's going to get shot at the back. They still have a couple of grenades here, but it won't be easy. Another headshot comes in. Dika opening up big with a double kill there on the retake, and now it's on Bubsky. That bomb, they can get to it, can't they? Yeah, there's no fire on top of it, so what a retake. 4 versus 3. Dika with the triple. I've got to say, I wonder, did the Danish team throw that smoke on the ramp before they even turned the corner? Because I felt like they put out that Molotov on the ramp in 1 nanosecond. So either someone was running with it in their hands, or they just threw it beforehand. But either way, that was a pretty powerful way to do that. That's actually kind of interesting.
Pretty much instantly countered out the attempt from Aristocracy to stop their push. And on the initial execute, things looked a lot better for Trick to that time. It's just Dika getting that very powerful position up on top. They weren't able to punish him from there. And he just starts playing, laser tag with the AUG. picking off players one by one, as we're probably going to see here in just a second.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's just a great way to clean up a round. 7-1. I mean, if they'd won the pistol too, I mean, it's already looking very bad for Tricked, but
looking a little bit worse.
Just a tiny bit. Oh, nice. There we go. Now he's back in the game, Borup.
As DK still has a position established at ladder, but he's actually pinched right now. Doesn't have that usual second man to support him like he's had in the past. Oh no! No one's watching it, so he gets away with another double before Bubsky is able to trade him out. Back through team main, Acor also finds another 1-2, finding Rallin, and Shush on the back lanes knocks out Manise. Down to only one left for Aristocracy. This one surely should be too much for the clutch, but let's find out.
Yeah, very much depends on where they bring that bomb, doesn't it? So far, they're going to bring it back all the way up through the hallways, and that's going to bring it really far away from Mouse. He can't know where to look. They're going to win the second round here, in spite of DK trying to steal it all the way. He's 16-5. They did say, I mean, I think Christine was saying on the desk, like that crisp aim of a 16-year-old, you know, it does sort of feel that way.
It also still like makes sense to see this kind of a crazy performance from DK when you look at like the overall stats and whatnot over the past few months from Aristocracy. He still like leads the charge in terms of that like stat potential by a long shot compared to most of his teammates. So it's expected to see him right out in front, really taking charge for this team's fragging capability.
Well, a serious chance here for Tricked to try and maybe make it back into the game. The money's not actually out of control for Aristocracy, in spite of them winning 7 rounds in a row. It's not like they have a massive bank. So winning 2 in a row, I mean, this could go from like 7-2 to like 7-5 if they can just string a couple of rounds together. It's definitely within the realms of what's reasonable. And DK going to go down. That's one of the first times, maybe the first time so far, the Pop Dog defense has not been working out.
Even in the last round where they had him pincered, DK was still able to pick up a double kill from outside of mains. This will be the first time they're really actually able to stop him from finding that kind of an impact. Tricked also still keeping their wits about them in terms of where they want to take this. They've got most of their players right by T-spawn, so either site is still an option for them at this point. But with 45 seconds left, and especially with the smokes they're trying to prime up for right now, it's more than likely going to be an outer push. And we've got Aristocracy still in default position themselves to try and stop this. Taz is going to try to play around the molly. It's not working out too well. He's able to sneak right up on top of it, but no, burns out at the last second. Taz will lose himself. Rowland, a good position to play off of behind the trains, but he can only get 1 to play off before getting traded out by Acor. Now just 2 left standing for Aristocracy. Another relatively clean site take for Tricked. It's all in that retake where Aristocracy keeps showing up, and they're going to try to do it once again.
That has to be one of the funniest things. Nice shot there from Manise. Somehow back in a 2-on-2 in spite of the fact that Tricked had such a great beginning to this round. And Hunden in a good position here. Going to be very hard to check, and indeed Manise will go down. And Mouse now, yeah, just no reason to throw away this gun. Again, the money not looking great for them. I really want to see like a third person. You know when people sometimes put, you know, subtitles on GIF or like add commentary? You could do that with Taz. That was like, he was getting sort of barbecued. And like, you want to keep it in the right range when you're putting on something in the grill. You know, you want to make sure that like gets too close, it gets burned. Taz was like, ah, no, like that a little bit further off.
A little bit off more at the flame,
yeah.
You know?
And then like he went back down again, and it was too soon. Like I can't even. If that had worked out, if he had climbed up the ladder with no one checking it, and avoided the grenade and sat back down, and just like as soon as they get there, they're like, how is he still, you know, alive there? That would have been genius. But it's a fine line, right, between genius and madness, and I think Taz, you know, falls on the side of madness like 100% of the time.
So he ends up paying the price for it at the end of that round there. Narrowly surviving, like you said, just a little bit too close to the flames there. And as such, he ended up going down, and Tricked Execute went off without too much of a hitch. Still always got to be careful of that Aristocracy retake. It was only for Manise going down against Hunden's position that eventually sold it and allowed for Tricked to pick up that third round. We've got them stacked in the back of B. When they've attempted this type of a take before, it has traditionally not gone that well, although in the most recent attempt it was drastically improved. Mouse, though, is not punished this time. Flash against him does not punish his vision nearly enough, and he's able to line up 2, now potentially 3. Not going to be able to confirm that one as Bubsky trades him out, but still. The primer, got nearly spotted on the back end of this one too. Is going to be able to come out on top, snipes in for a second one. It's all on Bubsky in a 1v3. He's completely surrounded.
This is very impressive. Aristocracy actually had that one smoke that Mouse puts down. That was the one that they had. So the fact that he could even put up any kind of a defense is kind of impressive. Bubsky gonna get the kill on DK, and that means it's not really done yet. Still, oh, he's gonna get shot at the back. I thought he was gonna turn for that, so it is indeed done. Rallen there to pick him up, and I don't know. I was expecting for that to be way more impressive a trick, but he got the first kill, fell down, put the smoke up, and that second kill as well. Mouse really handling that B defense really well.
And when these executes are going off relatively poorly, it usually is Mouse on the inner site is the one that's stopping it. You know, right front and center. You really haven't had to put any of the players in the back of the site in a pressure situation yet, so you have Mouse to thank for stopping these inner takes on 2 rounds at least, if not 3 or 4. Because I know they've tried it a few other times too. Wasn't paying too close attention to how impactful Mouse has been on those. But at the same time, they've been able to deal with him on at least one occasion, so it's just about lining up the utility appropriately to force him out.
Technical timeout being called now, so sorting out a couple of things, and then we'll be back into the game. Yeah, it is so valuable when you're playing the CT side on Train. You've got that one B player that does just an amazing job. It does really buy, I think, a lot of luxury to just play around with the rest of the defense. You can trust that one guy to do a good job. So say that's good for Aristocracy to have that at the moment.
Now, it's going to be the question of, again, if we can continue to see Aristocracy build up this lead, which there's no reason why they wouldn't be able to do this. They've had nearly every advantage over Tricked. They're just making a few mistakes here and there. It's more so Tricked actually properly executing, lining up their utility appropriately, and catching those openers that they should be getting. It's allowing them to pick up the 3 rounds they've had so far. For Aristocracy, though, especially on anti-ecos, they have been nearly unstoppable on the defense here. It's a great showing for the very first round of this tournament at a very minimum.
Think about the rest of the defense here for the Polish side. They've also got Dika, who's playing over at Popdog a lot of the time, and he's been doing great. So if you feel like, well, B's a bit rough because Mouse is there, Popdog's another problem, then you're running out of space to work with, Maybe Ivy could be a thing if you throw some good grenades. I mean, they've got to come up with something here. Otherwise, I mean, 3-8, they can make it back. This can still be done, but it's going to have to be pretty soon. Like, I think they need at least 5 rounds on this first half, Tricked. Or, yeah, they're going to run out of rope.
When you talk about Ivy, there's been virtually no Ivy play at all from Trick, except on like the pistol, where they try to do that like weird split push. I don't think I've seen them go Ivy once since then. Well, what do you know? There's going to be a little bit of pressure lurking its way over towards Ivy now. So you've got both, I think it's Borup and Acor with the op, and are going to try to play around with it a little bit this time.
Oh, yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been cool. We do love them. The run boost peak with the AWP, don't get to see nearly enough.
At least today, it's not going to have a chance to catch a frag. The Trick to not really finding anything at Ivy, with the exception of Borup sticking around with an ump, actually, is not really going to leave too much pressure there for the T side. That's mainly to stop any attempt to rush that from Aristocracy, more so than actually push it themselves. So they're going to line up majority of their player base going towards back B once again. A little Bubsky, a nice find, waits a while for it, but he does catch Dika trying to push his way to the inside of the ladder drop.
I'm assuming the smoke was probably just fading, so it's like, I know it's going to be fading like, 3, 2. If I go on, 2 instead of 1, then maybe I can catch somebody. Still, that might have cost them a lot. Still 3 men defending on the A-bomb side, but they're all really far back, so a couple of good flashbangs could bring up Ron Planet Dominis. That's a big kill. Another one from up here at Taz. You could see lining up, and a great flick. This is working out really well. It's actually Borup with the UMP showing up to bring it back into a 2-on-2. 20 seconds, and the bomb, oh, it's going to get caught.
Rowland walks right out, basically gets that one for free. And the last player as well, Shush, can't put anything together. It all happens too quickly. So yet another round goes up onto the board for Aristocracy. They claim a 9th, nearly a double digits in the first half now, as we come into the closing rounds of it.
It's going to present a serious problem here for the T side. Their money, I mean, it wasn't already looking good now. You could tell a definite impact here. Borb still, you know, buying a Zeus. Why not? Spending a little bit of money. Oh,
not going to get a chance to use it, though, too much. Maybe someone from Aristocracy is going to be on the ground now, as they very quickly catch that attempted drop down on Popdog. And for the rest of Tricked, well, unfortunately, don't really have the utility to execute on inners as much as they would like. They're just going to go for it. The trades aren't too bad at the end of the day. They make their way out of upper. Manise is obviously not going to be able to stop too much of this. They should, at a minimum, be able to guarantee the plant, and there it is, wasting no time putting the bomb onto the ground. Now it's about Aristocracy trying to slowly push back in. However, Bubsky, armed with a newly found weapon, is going to try to still cause some damage against Aristocracy. Does a good job of that. I think the tide is still a little bit too strong in Aristocracy's favor. They're ultimately still going to win it.
I mean, that's almost weirdly looks like a slightly better round than some of the previous ones we've been seeing. They get 2 kills, they get the bomb plant. Feels like if they could have had armor and better rifles from the beginning, they could have done something there. It was like a great reply with that deagle from upper against who is that playing there? Mouse, I guess.
Like Mouse, yeah.
So that could have been something right there, but they can't make it happen. And we'll see. I mean, now things are looking very grim, I think, for the Danish side. Maybe Twitch chat were right. I hate to say it, but maybe they were. 10-3. It is looking good right now for the Polish team.
And it's now going to be the question of, in these last few buy rounds that Tricked have, what can they bring to us? Can they do anything new? Aristocracy is getting bolder and bolder with this play from Mouse. We see it upper. They counter him, so he strikes right back. Doesn't get a kill, but he knocks out a good 70 or so HP from Shush, and as well is going to be holding back the large majority of the Tricked roster that's currently hiding in upper.
Smoke to go down. Acor, though, to pick up Rallon. That is going to be really helpful. Dika going to put up a smoke, but he's right on top of them, and he's going to win that fight, trying to look for a secondary one, and it could have definitely happened. Down to 2 health there on Borup. Wait, they've changed place. Look at Mouse. He's in between them. If Bubsky calls in right now and says, look, don't worry, guys, I'm in B. Oh, he's going to turn around in time. That could have been even better for Mouse. I'm kind of impressed he got that kill.
So, split-second reaction, and now Bubsky as well. He's going to have to try and move in to pick up a frag. Taz is going to be able to take out Bubsky as a result of that.
And look at the push through. Manise pushed for the smoke, so he knows that no one's there. So they're going to be able to call the retreat back to A a little bit earlier. I can't believe Taz even peeked that corner. That's a little bit crazy. Now, Hunden going to go for the bomb plant at least. And he's going to have to do almost everything here. Borb is so low on health from earlier. Taz sneaking in, clearing all the way. Manise checking if he gets shot in the legs. Not going to happen. Oh, bit of an opening, but again, the health not going to be working out. That is another round here. 11 on the board for Aristocracy. This is looking so good.
Great pinch on the retake from Aristocracy. I thought it was lost, or it seemed like it was going to be the case, but from the 3v2 all the way back into a successful 2-man victory there from Aristocracy, they win yet another round. Past double digits all the way up to 11, as their retakes just seem absolutely unstoppable, at least against the Trick roster here on Train.
Yeah, they really have a lot working for them, don't they? Dicker and his 20 kills, that is hard to argue against. But everything else is looking good too. Oh, did they flash them? No, I think that was a counter flash as well. Mouse going to be picking up the return kill there on Shush, so at least, oh, that grenade, yeah, that's going to do that's a significant amount of damage.
It's a solid 60+ damage nade right there. 61, in fact. As that is going to definitely hurt their capability, at least in a long-term game, to try and win these fights here. Aristocracy pushing out against the Ivy play. Actually favors Borup again, who ends up going 2 for 1 with the SSG in hand here.
Wow, look at the flank here from Mouse. They're not going to be happy at all. If you get the timing down right, he could maybe cut off Bubsky. I'm not sure what the war cry is. I want to find out. Can we figure out who that is? But they're waiting. I mean, the bomb is coming out main alone. If they lose this Ivy player, that might actually stop the bomb from being made onto the site. Very patient. You could see Mouse and Manise they're just thinking about it right now. They're communicating really well with each other. The bomb will be going down, but I think it made a lot of sense for them to try and see if somebody here from Trick would make a mistake. And Borup going to be going down finally. Now, can Bubsky hold this? That's the big question. He does have a flashbang, Mouse. And it's not... Oh, he still gets the headshot. That flashbang did not help him out. Now, it's on Acor. What a take. The smoke is up there. He has to rush out. Now they know where he is. The minis will take him down. Wow, that's crushing here for the Danish side. 12 to 3 here at the end of the first half. Amazing first half for Aristocracy.
And that is going to take us to the end of the first half, ladies and gentlemen. So stick with us, and we'll be coming right back at you with the second half between these two teams right here at the DreamHack Open.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here, second half coming up between Tricked and Aristocracy. We're on Train. Third map of the day overall, so still plenty more to come here at the channel. And it's been just amazing. 12 to 3. Hard to convince yourself that Tricked are going to be winning this match right now.
Well, we'll have to see how things start for Aristocracy's T side. Their CT side was certainly looking very, very good. Now it's time to see if the same can be said for their attack. So far, a good start. Both Borup and Acor being found out, but they completely missed checking the right corner, working out from Ivy. So Bubsky's allowed to escape with 2 kills. Gets tricky with it there for a second as well, but ultimately Taz and Malz pick up the 2 response frags, leaving just Shush alive. 1 versus 2 against Taz and Malz. Trying to work his way in, find these players. He's missed the note on both of them, though. They successfully escaped either through Z or up into the back tunnels. They're now working their way into the B site.
Yeah, and they have such an advantage because Mouse sticks around to hear him running towards Pop Dog, so they know exactly where he's coming. They don't have any more grenades. He does have a smoke, so if he can get 1 kill, that would maybe open up something, but he can't. Instead, it's Taz with a triple, and I don't know. If the nails weren't already in the coffin, it's getting there now.
It's got the hammer and the nails pretty much ready to throw into the coffin at a minimum at this point. So we'll see if Tricked can bring anything to the table whatsoever. As you might expect, there's going to be a pretty straightforward second round force buy coming in for these guys on Tricked. They just cannot afford to wait until the economy's in a good enough position. The scoreline difference is just too drastic. Great utility. Look at how much Aristocracy just get melted by that. Rowland even kills Taz with a nade somehow out of this, but they're still trading it back in their own favor. Manise picks up a double on site, brings us into a 3v3. That nade should do some damage, if at least work as a distraction, but Acor also is able to take out Dika in the process. For Manise, though, he gets his 3rd on the round before finally being knocked out by Shush on a back flank. And now it's just Mal's 1v2.
What is this absolute circus round that we're watching? Yeah, like team grenade kill, everybody wanting into the first HEs. I think for a minute, Manish like ran into the Molotov to set and take a fight. Like, oh, he's almost getting that headshot as well, but not quite. They're gonna win the round somehow. I would kind of rather if we just forgot about that round. Let's not think about it anymore. That was really mental.
It starts out as all like 2 HE grenades from Trick that just destroy the health pool of Aristocracy. Then somehow, yeah, they team kill with a nade.
How do you get that? How does that happen?
I don't know. Maybe someone's aim panicked when they got hit by those first set of nades and he just threw it at the wall or something. I'm just guessing, but very weird turn of events, that's for sure. Either way, Trick will take that. It's a small beacon of hope, but it's a beacon nonetheless. And now we'll have to see how well they can use it to try and leverage the start of a comeback here. And it'll only be the start. They're still just under 10 rounds away from just tying it at the current scoreline. So it'll be a very, very long road for recovery. Still that AK in check for Mouse to play off of too, since the team did buy out entirely on their response. That'll be the only big weapon that Aristocracy have. Yeah,
they do have armor and a couple of smokes, so it's possible to do a couple of different things here. Could, for one, smoke up all the way down at Ivy from that position. That's what they're going to try and do. Oh, look at the body block from Hunden. What a genius. But is it going to be enough to actually make a difference? It does mean that he could come out and help out here in the yard with much lower risk. But it seems like they're waiting for it. I do like the body blocking as smokes. It's always fun to see.
You don't see used all that much. A-Core sees the push from Mal's coming from a mile away. Lines up the shot for that. Gets some good damage onto Dika, back by Pop Dog too. So, does a good job of priming Aristocracy for failure on this execute. But Manish just walks right into a headshot against A-Core. Finds the trade on that. Rowland's also able to get Bubsky. No. Manish with another one. Somehow Aristocracy come out on top of these seemingly unwinnable situations, but they get it done regardless. Shush is the last man alive in a 1v4. They know exactly where he's at, right on the CT spawn steps. So on the first kill, but getting the last 3 is getting nigh impossible. Although, as I say that, the second one seems to come pretty easily.
Yeah, but he can't really check the whole yard. He doesn't have a kit right now either. I'm so confused about, I was just calling Hunden a genius, and then I don't know how, either he threw that smoke at Ivy himself, or it was thrown from Manish coming through with the deal, I'm not sure. But regardless, it meant that Hunden was sort of put on the side of Ivy, where he couldn't actually help out at all to try and defend the yard, and that obviously caused a bit of a problem there. Great job on Manish regardless. Great double kill.
And so, just 2 more rounds now for Aristocracy. I was saying this is going to be one of the closest matches we've had yet, but it's far from that right now. It's one of the most one-sided ones we've had so far in the tournament, with Aristocracy just showing an amazing amount of both individual skill and team cohesion. We'll probably get to see it again in this round. Tricked at a minimum buy, forcing out, of course, as you would expect at this point in the game. And Aristocracy are back to a slightly healthier buy in response to that.
Not, of course, running into any grenades in main this time. Aristocracy, you really only want to do that once in a half, right? So, trying to escape all of that. An AK-47, a couple of scouts, a couple of deagles. That's, I don't know. On train, yeah, if you get the first long-range shot in, there's a chance, but bit of a gamble.
Ends up going hunting right there in the middle of the smoke. Only gives away his position. That's 2 of the pistol players gone down. Borup as well, getting tagged. Able to reply with one of his own. Although there's a good shot. Tries to line, and nearly does it too. Tries to line up a second frag from up on top, but it does not pan out. Aristocracy come up with a team ace, and as well get themselves up on match point.
They're looking really good right now. I'm kind of interested. Now you want to see them against, you know, some of the higher ranked teams in the tournament. That would be fun to try and see how they match up against some of the opposition. So 15-4, it is. I mean, there's really almost no story you could tell that would make you believe that this could work out for them. Maybe that's how your team, you know, kill people with grenades.
I just saw that as well. And I was like, oh, I guess that kind of explains it. Someone's got a loose mouse wheel or something like that.
Yeah.
Bubsky going to take the safer end of the Taz barbecue here. As he works his way out to the other side of Pop Dog instead. Molly meets its way to the ground. And although Aristocracy start this out slowly, fortunately for them, they're still working against a pretty minimalist buy from the CT side here, so there's not a very good hope of Trick being able to close this out, even with the good start they got in terms of damage against Benice. A minute left here. Aristocracy is a little bit slow to find their kind of initiation point. It's looking like they're going to start their pressure towards Ivy in just a second.
Still 2 people on the B-bomb side, and they don't really have any info either. That could be an issue now. Or back here, they've already spammed that wall once. They're probably going to try and... They're just going to be walking in. Taz taking the early fight. A bit of a return there. Borup could have maybe got that one, but it's not going to happen now. Close range as Bubsky takes down the bomb with 35-second follow-up as well. And dropping minis and picking up an AK-47. Bubsky, top fragger right now for Trick and really doing his best to get them back in the game. And A-Call on range. They are... I mean, they've got their backs to the wall, but they might actually steal this round.
Rowland trying to kind of hide in plain sight even after he gets tagged. Picks up the bomb, works his way through the train sandwich, and now out onto the site. Unfortunately, he's pinched. He's pretty much got to immediately throw this onto the ground. You know, he's close enough for them to hear that, but still, they gave him enough time. A-Core first, Shush second, number 3 will not happen, as Bubsky just barely brings it back under the control of Trick with 15 HP left, but that could have been the end right there.
Yeah, it very nearly was. I think even, I mean, I don't want to second guess Rallen at all. That was so cool, wasn't it? But you know, if you could have paused the game for him after the first 2 kills, he would have probably said, "Oh yeah, I could just hide for the 3rd one." But that's all adrenaline. Like you get those 2 shots and you feel like you have to go for it, right? So I'm not gonna criticize that at all. Great play from him, and great play from Bubsky in that round. Even bringing it to a point where they could win it, because it wasn't looking likely. 15-5 though. Trick in need of 10 rounds in a row, and they do run into a bit of a grenade here. Taz pushing himself out to Olaf, waiting in that corner. Oh, Manice, that's a really sort of saving, I think, Taz a bit there.
Pretty much all the utility being used by Trick this early on in the round 2. Bubsky the first to find an actual response. He could get more though. Yeah, there's the lineup to find his second against Taz. Overcommits to the inside of the tight train yard though. Borup's going to try to run up against Mal's. He's ready for it.
He got 1 kill with the Galil, swapped out for the AWP and got that 2nd kill close range.
Wow.
He just changed weapons and, you know, probably would have preferred the Galil up close, but he's got the job done anyway. Wow, that was very cool, in fact.
So all on Shush now in the 1v3. Plant's going to go down in just a second. Aristocracy taking their time with it, so they do give Shush that little bit of extra rotation time to get right outside of where he's more than likely going to re-execute from, which is inside of T main. But how exactly does he pull this off? Smoke and an HE grenade, but on a FAMAS as well. Weapon power is going to look a little bit weaker here.
He's going to be walking in. The only advantage is they don't know where he is. Now they do, and that's all gone away, and that makes it almost impossible. He's got a smoke and an HE. He gets 1 more shot off. No kit currently picked up, but I think no matter what now, time has run out. 16-5 in favor of Aristocracy. Big win for them here, the first game for them in the tournament. They're going to be excited about this, I think.
Yeah, a dominating start at a minimum. And now we need to see how this builds up. We're more likely going to end up going up against a Vanguard next, I believe, if I have my groups right in my head. So we'll see them face off against each other a little bit later on today.
Yeah, that could be, again, I kind of look forward to seeing them tested even more. So that would be a fun game to watch for sure. Looking very good. Taz back in action, and obviously Dika, definitely looking good. So that's exciting to see.
A little bit quiet on the second half, I think, from him.
Yeah, a little bit.
But to be fair, like the second half was pretty short, so not a whole lot of time for him to shine there regardless. But he had some really good stuff with Pop Dog. Yeah. And then he saw Mal's really shine out as well lower in the B side in the first half. Yeah,
that was really good. So unfortunately for Market, you know, it wasn't really on point with the Trick prediction, but everybody else was correct on the desk. So, you know, what can you do right?
Sometimes you just got to throw the Hail Mary. I just tucked it up there and I was like, you know what? If this lands,
you wanted to win badly.
I'm winning.
Yeah.
and you guys are losing, and then I can just ride the safe picks. I can just basically copy you the rest of the tournament long. And even if you guys are wrong, it doesn't matter. Because we all sync together, and I have a 1-map advantage. Now I have to go against you guys to catch up. This is an unfair
It really
place to be in.
backfired on you there.
To be fair, I thought that if it was going to be a map they would take it on, it would have been Train, because they did recently play each other on Train, and it was a close game. They lost 16-13, so they didn't pick up the win, but it's also a good map historically for Tricked. But I just feel like they never really got a chance. Like, they start on the T side, and it was rough.
It was really rough, and I've got to commend DreamHack. Tom,
yes.
let me know how to pronounce his name. DreamHack's performance on Train, specifically towards that ladder side. I mean, just his presence alone in that ladder resulted in him flanking whenever they went inner, and also it allows Aristocracy to have a different look, a different setup. Sometimes they gave up Ivy; they never even played it. Sometimes they had 2 or 3 players towards that inner, and it's all on the back of DreamHack's just solid ladder hold. When you have a player that's confident and is able to play around in that ladder and dodge flashes, dodge Molotovs, and really not allow Trick to get any control, it gives you so much freedom. It gives your players so much freedom to just move around on the map and really be able to over-rotate and not punish you.
Well, yeah, that's the big thing as well. The rotations that they played, especially him going up the ladder and going in for the late, I think out of the last 5 rounds, 4 of them were diffuses. Like, the bomb went down every single time, and pretty much they came back, Aristocracy got the defuse. I think they got 6 retakes in the end. So, like, it just came down to Tricked. They were getting the bomb down, they were getting themselves in good positions, but they could never actually hold on.
And they couldn't hold on, all because of Aristocracy's decision-making. I mean, it's so hard to be able to perfectly retake sites like that, specifically in even numbers and post-plants. We always talk about the bomb being the terrorist side's teammate, so it's almost like a 6 versus X situation, but the patience on Aristocracy, we saw each player being in a position where they're flanking and you think, oh, they're going to get punished, but they waited and waited, and more often than not, they got rewarded for that patience.
Well, they do pick up the win, and Taz is standing by for an interview. Congratulations on the win. Sorry for doubting you guys.
Hello. You doubted us?
I had to
only him.
Here's the thing. You guys actually played them recently. I think it was in a qualifier, and you played on Train, and it was a 16-13, a much closer game. Were you guys maybe a little bit more prepared to play them on Train, which is why it was a little bit easier for you guys today?
I mean, we were struggling on Train for some time now. We knew that we can play it very well, so it all came down to the patience, as you were talking about now, Potter. It's like we knew how we can play in this map, but it's always we were playing too fast, too aggressive. We wanted to finish the round too early, and that was our biggest issue. So it felt like we fixed it, at least for this game.
So you've sort of had Diha as your newest member within this team. Like, he seemed to play a really integral role on this map. Is that something that you're actively trying to do, like putting him in specific positions where he's going to work well?
Yes and no. It's like we want to give him some freedom, but on the other side, it's like he has the position he needs to cover, but he's like, okay, guys, I'm going here. And you're like, yeah, okay, someone needs to cover it. And then next round, can you? Okay, I'm pushing. So it feels like he's very confident. He has the aim and he wants to use it. So I have no problem with it. But with time, he probably will learn even more.
Speaking specifically of Diha, when you guys picked him up, he was a bit of a controversial player with a little bit of a checkered past, potentially. People were looking at maybe you guys picking up Sobel instead of picking up Diha. How do you feel like he is now plugging into the puzzle of the team? Because coming into this, he was more of a pugger than he was of a team player.
I mean, when it comes to Diha, I was watching him from since last year, November, so I knew how good he can be, and it just was a matter of how good he will be for a team. And it just feels that he's learning with every LAN, with every important tournament, and I can't really imagine any other player with such impact in Poland than him. And it's just good that his head is in the right place, at least for now. It feels that after all these years where people thought that he's a cheater, that he is like Vagban or stuff like that, he just got mentally strong, and fingers crossed that he will not go, berserk, and he will not get crazy about how good he is, and that he will learn and become somehow like Zaiwu or Simple.
Do you think he has that level of impact potentially?
I believe so.
So you mentioned at the Pro League finals that confidence was a big thing within this roster. Today, every single player within the server stepped up. Do you feel like you fixed that, or still something that needs to be ironed out a little bit more?
I believe we need some wins on LAN or big events, and this is the first step. We have next game against Avangar, which would be nice to win to get more confidence. So we need to just make step after step and just get our confidence and just trust in our game.
All right, well, congratulations again on the victory. We're going to let you go.
Thank you.
So, I mean, a big game coming in from Aristocracy, like a really strong performance from the team in general. But again, we're really highlighting Diha because he was more of the question mark player when they picked him up. Not really many people knew what to expect out of him. And he shows up 22 kills, 107 ADR. Strong performance across a short map, only 21 rounds played.
Everybody was strong though. Like the frag distribution, 22 to 17.
Yeah,
like
it's plus minus 5. It's not bad.
You don't normally sort of like point out stats specifically unless someone's just gone off the chains. But the fact that everybody's performed on the other side, I don't want to point it out. I know that you want to. I can see by the look on your face.
Yeah,
but
I
it's
don't
kind of
want to
what
say,
we
but
expect.
it is a problem. Like you know, you don't want to. We're not going to say names. We're not going to blame players either because I do feel like that's unfair. But one of the players in the server did really struggle, and that could be a potential indicator as to why they had a hard time on train. When one guy is really that far behind, I mean, we're talking really far, minus 16 from the top performer. That's tough. It's really tough. Like even your best player cannot really pull that player back up. So, you know, Tricked is going to have to figure out a solution for that moving forward. They're going to have to try to put these players in better positions to make sure that they're enabling them to the highest of their ability.
Absolutely. It is really tough to judge a game based off of the stats, specifically when the score is so one-sided.
Exactly.
If it was a little bit closer, then certainly it would be something to look into. How can we set this player up for more successful duels? But I think in this instance, it was the post plants. It was really just the post plants.
And then on top of that, they didn't really get a chance to play the CT side. So like it's a CT-sided map where, you know, the AUG has changed the meta so much that it's really easy to play the CT side now with the AUG compared to before where you were really relying on ops. Like the AUG replacing the M4 on the map gives you so much more distance battling than you had before.
Yeah. Definitely.
So it's changed the meta a lot, making it a lot more stacked. So they only got to play, what, 6 rounds on the CT side and basically had no money.
Buys as well.
Yeah, they lost pistol, second round force buy, they picked it up, then they lose a round right after, money's back down to nothing. Again, they have to save. Their money just never really stabilized to give them a fighting chance.
And you saw specifically how strong that AUG is in that long distance. It's not, I mean, of course, it's so nice to be able to take fights when your enemy is so far away, but it's really the fights that you as a player, the confidence in yourself to take that duel. You saw Taz in that CT side tower get like 3 kills, 2 kills consistently, and these are angles that you generally didn't re-peak back in the A4 days, you know? But now you see players that are challenging. They're actually re-peaking, and they're able to get those multi-kills for their team, and it really puts your team in an advantageous position.
That does wrap things up here, though, for that match. We've got another one coming up in just a bit. It's going to be Optic versus Chaos, so another Swedish side will be up on stage here in front of the home audience at DreamHack Open Summer 2019. We'll be back in a bit.